The deep space research vessel Horizon drifted silently through the asteroid field, its sensors probing the ancient signal that had drawn them to this remote corner of space. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the bridge's main viewport, her dark eyes reflecting the distant starlight as she watched her crew work. After 15 months of searching, they had finally found something extraordinary. Signal analysis complete, Captain. Lieutenant David Kumar announced from his station, excitement evident in his voice. It's definitely artificial, and definitely old. Carbon dating of the surrounding asteroids suggests this beacon has been here for at least 50,000 years. Sarah nodded, allowing herself a small smile. This was why she had joined the Deep Space Research Division, to uncover mysteries like this. Any progress on decoding the transmission? That's the fascinating part, David replied, bringing up a holographic display. The signal keeps changing, adapting to our scanning methods. It's like it's learning how to communicate with us in real time. This isn't just ancient technology. It's active and intelligent. The bridge crew fell silent, considering the implications. Humanity had spent centuries wondering if they were alone in the universe. Now, floating before them, was proof not only of alien life but of technology far beyond their understanding. Dr. Rivera, what do you make of the energy readings? Sarah asked her chief scientist. Maria Rivera frowned at her console. They're unlike anything in our database. The beacon seems to be drawing power from somewhere else. Not any dimension we can detect. It's as if a sudden alarm cut through the air, its harsh tone shattering the academic atmosphere. Multiple contacts. The tactical officer shouted. Massive energy signatures appearing out of nowhere. Sarah spun to face the main display as 3 enormous vessels materialized around the horizon. Their hulls were midnight black, absorbing all light that touched them, with geometric patterns that seemed to shift and change as she watched. They were beautiful in a terrifying way, clearly artificial, yet entirely alien in their design. No known match in our database, David reported, his voice tense. These ships aren't from any known human faction. Sarah's training kicked in. Open all frequencies, standard first contact protocols. Make it clear we're a research vessel. She took a deep breath, steadying herself. This was the moment every deep space explorer both dreamed of and dreaded. The alien vessels responded immediately, but not with communication. Beams of purple energy lanced out from their hulls, scanning the horizon from bow to stern. Sarah felt the hair on the back of her neck stand up as the energy passed through the ship's hull, like it wasn't even there. They're scanning our technology level, Maria announced, studying the readings, focusing particularly on our quantum communications array and FTL drive. Before Sarah could respond, the alien ships began to move. Their formation shifted with impossible precision, taking up attack positions around the horizon. There was no warning, no demand for surrender, just the sudden, devastating flash of weapons fire. Evasive maneuvers. Sarah shouted as the first blast nearly vaporized their port sensor array. Launch emergency, boys. Earth needs to know what we found here. The Horizon's engines roared to life, pushing the research vessel to its limits as it tried to escape. But the alien ships were too fast, too powerful. Their weapons tore through the Horizon's shields like they were tissue paper. As her ship died around her, Sarah realized with horrifying clarity what they had discovered. The beacon wasn't a message of peace or scientific knowledge. It was a trap, a way for these beings to identify and eliminate potential technological rivals before they could become threats. Emergency buoy away, David reported as another blast rocked the ship, transmitting all sensor data, and his console exploded in a shower of sparks. Sarah managed to reach her command console, fingers flying over the controls as she recorded one final message. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth research vessel Horizon. First contact achieved with hostile alien force. They possess technology far beyond ours and attack without provocation. The beacon was a trap. Tell Earth. Tell them we need to be ready. They're coming. The alien vessel's final barrage reduced the horizon to atoms, the debris scattering across the asteroid field like cosmic dust. The black ships lingered only long enough to confirm the destruction was complete before vanishing back into whatever dimension they had emerged from. But they had made a crucial mistake. In their arrogance, they had ignored the small emergency buoy racing away from the battle at FTL speeds. Within its memory banks, it carried not just a warning, but detailed scans of their technology and tactics. The Horizon's sacrifice would not be in vain. Humanity would be ready when the Voidborn came again. In the silence of space, the ancient beacon continued its broadcast, waiting for the next curious species to stumble into the trap. But it had just helped unleash something its creators had never anticipated, a humanity united by grief, driven by vengeance, and now armed with knowledge of their enemy. The real war was about to begin. Admiral Marcus Jong stood before the holographic display in Earth Defense Command, watching as hundreds of officers and scientists analyzed the data from the Horizon's emergency buoy. 3 months had passed since the research vessel's destruction, and humanity had used every second to prepare. "Show me the Voidborn weapons analysis again," he ordered, his weathered face illuminated by the blue glow of the hologram. The display shifted, showing detailed scans of the alien energy weapons that had torn through the Horizon's shields. Dr. Emily Patel, head of the Xenotechnology Division, stepped forward. Her team had been working around the clock to understand their enemy's capabilities. "Their weapons operate on principles we barely understand, Admiral. They don't just damage their targets, they temporarily phase them out of normal spacetime. Our conventional shields might as well be paper." Marcus nodded grimly. The situation seemed hopeless. Humanity was facing an enemy with technology centuries ahead of their own. But he had learned long ago that superior technology didn't always guarantee victory. What about their tactical patterns? Colonel James Martinez, their lead strategic analyst, brought up the combat footage. "That's where it gets interesting, sir. The Voidborn ships move with perfect precision. Too perfect. Every maneuver is mathematically optimal. It suggests their combat systems are entirely automated." "An AI-driven fleet," Marcus mused, stroking his chin. "That could be both a strength and a weakness. AIs excel at optimal solutions, but often struggle with the unexpected." A plan was beginning to form in his mind, drawing on centuries of human military history. "Dr. Patel, you said their weapons phase matter out of normal spacetime," he asked suddenly. "What would happen if we gave them too many targets to phase?" Emily's eyes widened as she caught his meaning. "In theory, their weapons would have to distribute their effect across multiple targets, potentially reducing their effectiveness. But we'd need thousands of decoys to make it work." Marcus smiled for the first time in days. "We don't need warships. We need junk. Colonel Martinez, how quickly can we modify our civilian mining drones to act as decoys?" Over the next 2 months, humanity's response took shape. Every scrapyard, junkyard, and debris field was harvested. Mining drones were retrofitted with basic engines and minimal AI. Civilian ships were modified to carry swarms of these decoys, looking like harmless cargo vessels. The first test of their strategy came sooner than expected. A Voidborn patrol appeared near Saturn's rings, probably expecting to find an easy target in the mining colonies there. Instead, they found humanity's new defensive doctrine waiting for them. "Launch the swarm," Marcus ordered from his flagship, the ESS Thermopylae. Across the battlefield, civilian cargo ships began releasing clouds of modified drones. The Voidborn ships responded exactly as predicted, their weapon systems automatically targeting the nearest threats. But instead of 3 or 4 targets, they faced thousands. Their phase weapons fired, catching dozens of drones in their beams, but for each drone they destroyed, 10 more took its place. The energy had to spread too thin, making the weapons far less effective. "Phase 2, Marcus commanded. The real attack began. Human warships emerged from hiding places in Saturn's rings, their weapons modified based on the Horizon's sensor data. They weren't trying to match the Voidborn's technology. Instead, they used simple kinetic weapons, railguns firing chunks of metal at relativistic speeds. The Voidborn ships' eyes struggled to adapt to this primitive yet effective approach. Their phase weapons were designed to counter energy weapons and missiles, not solid projectiles moving at significant fractions of light speed. One alien vessel was torn apart by the barrage, its perfect defenses useless against such basic physics. The remaining Voidborn ships attempted to retreat, but humanity had learned from the Horizon's sacrifice. Modified FTL inhibitors, based on the ancient beacon's technology, prevented them from escaping. Within minutes, the patrol was destroyed. As the debris of their first victory cooled in space, Marcus addressed his fleet. Today we proved something crucial. The Voidborn think their advanced technology makes them invincible, but humanity has been fighting wars since before we invented the wheel. We know that victory doesn't always go to the most advanced army. It goes to the ones who can adapt, who can think creatively, who can turn their very limitations into advantages. He paused, looking at the tactical display showing the destroyed Voidborn ships. They may have better technology, but we have something they don't: unpredictability, creativity, the willingness to try solutions that seem primitive or impossible. And most importantly, we have the one thing their AI can never truly understand: the human spirit. Throughout the solar system, humanity began fortifying their positions, preparing for the inevitable counterattack. The Voidborn would return, probably with an even larger fleet. But now they knew it was possible to fight back. More importantly, they had learned that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in matching their enemy's technology. It was in finding unexpected ways to use what they already had. The real question was, what would the Voidborn learn from this defeat? Would they adapt their tactics, or would their artificial minds continue to assume that superior technology alone guaranteed victory? Either way, humanity would be ready. The next phase of the war was about to begin. And this time, Earth wouldn't be caught unprepared. Dr. Samira Hassan stared at the quantum interference patterns dancing across her laboratory screen, her mind racing with possibilities. After months of studying the Voidborn technology, she had finally found something extraordinary in the Horizon's sensor data. "Run the simulation again," she told her AI assistant. "Focus on the moment their ships phase into normal space." The holographic display came to life, showing the complex quantum signatures of the Voidborn vessels as they materialized. "There," she whispered, pointing to a subtle pattern in the data. "Their entire technology is based on quantum phase manipulation. That's how they achieve their impossible maneuvers and weapons effects. But look at this harmonic resonance." Her discovery led to an emergency meeting of Earth's Defense Council. Admiral Zhang listened intently as Samira explained her findings, her hands moving animatedly as she spoke. "Their ships exist partially in quantum superposition," she explained. "It's what makes them so powerful. They can literally be in multiple states at once, allowing them to phase through normal matter and ignore conventional physics. But this also makes them vulnerable to quantum decoherence." In English, Dr. Marcus requested, though his eyes showed keen interest. "They're like gigantic quantum computers," Samira simplified. "And like any quantum system, they're incredibly sensitive to observation and interference. If we could generate a strong enough quantum interference pattern, we could force their ships to collapse into a single quantum state," Emily Patel finished, her eyes widening. "They'd lose their phase abilities." Marcus leaned forward. "Can we build a weapon that could do this?" Samira shook her head. "Not a conventional weapon. No. But she brought up a diagram of Earth's orbital infrastructure. "We already have a planet-wide network of quantum communication satellites. With modifications, we could turn the entire network into one massive quantum interference generator." Thus began Operation Prism. Every available engineer and physicist was recruited to modify Earth's satellite network. They worked around the clock, knowing the Voidborn could return at any moment. The plan was audacious, Use humanity's communication infrastructure as a weapon against an enemy that had mastered quantum mechanics. The opportunity to test their theory came sooner than expected. Long-range sensors detected a massive void-borne fleet approaching the solar system, far larger than anything they'd encountered before. "They're adapting," Marcus observed from the bridge of the Thermopylae, "spreading out their formation to counter our swarm tactics." The enemy had learned from their previous defeat, but they hadn't anticipated humanity's new weapon. "Operation Prism is ready," Samira reported from her control station on Earth. "But sir, we only get one shot at this. Once they realize what we're doing." Marcus nodded grimly. "All ships, battle positions. Prepare to execute Operation Prism on my mark." The void-borne fleet emerged from quantum space in perfect formation, their black hulls absorbing starlight like holes in reality. Their weapons powered up, ready to phase Earth's defenses out of existence. "Now," Marcus ordered. Across Earth orbit, thousands of modified satellites activated simultaneously. Each one began generating precise quantum interference patterns, carefully calibrated to match the void-borne's quantum signatures. The patterns overlapped and reinforced each other, creating a web of quantum manipulation that encompassed the entire battlefield. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then the void-borne ships began to flicker. Their perfect formation wavered as their quantum drives struggled against the interference. Ships that had existed in multiple states simultaneously were forced to choose a single reality. "It's working," Samira shouted, watching the sensor readings. "Their quantum fields are collapsing." The effect was devastating. Void-borne ships lost their ability to phase through space-time, their greatest advantage stripped away. Some vessels, caught between quantum states, began to break apart as physics reasserted its normal rules. "All ships, attack pattern Delta," Marcus commanded. "Show them what happens when they fight humans on an even playing field." Earth's fleet struck hard and fast. Without their phase technology, the void-borne ships proved surprisingly vulnerable to conventional weapons. Their AIs, programmed for quantum warfare, struggled to adapt to traditional space combat. But the victory came at a cost. The massive power requirements of Operation Prism overloaded Earth's satellite network. One by one, the satellites burned out, their delicate quantum generators destroyed by the strain. As the last void-borne ships retreated or were destroyed, Marcus received a priority message from Earth's long-range sensors. "Sir," his communications officer reported, "we're detecting quantum signatures from multiple directions, different from the void-borne. I think someone else noticed our little light show." Samira's voice came over the comm, excitement breaking through her exhaustion. "Admiral, these signatures, they're organized, deliberate. I think someone's trying to talk to us." Marcus studied the tactical display, watching the new quantum signals approach. They had just proven humanity could stand against the most advanced hostile species they'd encountered. Now it seemed they had attracted the attention of others who might be fighting the same enemy. "Open a channel," he ordered. "Let's see who else wants to join the fight against the void-borne." The quantum signals grew stronger, carrying patterns too complex to be natural. Humanity's first real diplomatic contact was about to begin, born not from peaceful exploration, but from a shared struggle for survival. The crystalline beings called themselves the Syntheri. Their bodies were living silicon matrices, capable of processing information faster than Earth's most advanced quantum computers. As their holographic representatives stood before Earth's Defense Council, their crystalline forms shimmering with internal light, Admiral John couldn't help but marvel at how different first contact was from anything humanity had imagined. "We have fought the void-borne for 300 of your years," the Syntheri ambassador, a crystal entity that called itself Resonance of Truth, explained. Its thoughts were translated by a quantum interface developed by Dr. Hassan's team. They seek to eliminate all technological civilizations they consider potential threats. Your quantum interference weapon was the first significant defeat they have suffered in 50 years. Marcus leaned forward. Yet you haven't developed similar weapons yourselves. With your level of technology. We are beings of pure logic and calculation. Resonance of Truth responded, its crystal facets pulsing with each word. Our solutions tend toward mathematical perfection. The idea of using communication satellites as weapons, it would never have occurred to us. This is why we seek alliance. Dr. Hassan, who had been quietly analyzing the synthery's quantum signatures, spoke up. You need our creativity, our ability to think, illogically. Precisely. The crystalline ambassador's form sparkled with what they had learned was amusement. The Voidborn's strategic AI cannot predict your actions because you often defy optimal solution paths. Combined with our technological capabilities, this could change the course of the war. The alliance formed quickly after that. The synthery provided humanity with access to their advanced technology, while human military strategists and scientists worked with them to develop unprecedented hybrid tactics. It was a partnership that played to both species' strengths. In her laboratory aboard the newly constructed Joint Command Station, Nexus, Samara worked alongside a synthery scientist named Harmony of Crystals. They were attempting to combine Earth's quantum interference technology with synthery crystalline computing. Your species' approach still fascinates me, Harmony commented, its crystalline form reconfiguring to better interface with their shared workstation. You created a quantum weapon by modifying communication equipment. The inefficiency should have made it impossible, yet you never considered that limitation. Samira smiled, making an adjustment to their prototype. Sometimes the best solutions aren't the most efficient ones. Humans have a saying, necessity is the mother of invention. When we need something badly enough, we get creative. Their work was interrupted by an urgent transmission. A Voidborn fleet had been detected approaching the synthery colony world. But this time, they weren't facing a disorganized defense. The newly formed Silicon Alliance was ready to demonstrate what their combined capabilities could achieve. Admiral Zhang stood on the bridge of the Thermopylae, now enhanced with synthery crystalline technology. Alongside his human crew, crystalline interfaces pulsed with the presence of their alien allies. The merged tactical display showed both human intuition and synthery precision in their battle plan. The Voidborn expect us to behave logically, he addressed the combined fleet. They believe they can predict our actions because they fought the synthery for centuries. Today, we show them what happens when silicon logic meets human intuition. The battle began with a seemingly chaotic retreat by the human ships, drawing the Voidborn fleet into pursuit. The enemy AI, recognizing human vessels as the greater threat after Operation Prism, took the bait. They never noticed the crystalline formations growing on nearby asteroids. Now, Marcus ordered. The synthery crystals activated, transforming entire asteroids into massive quantum processors. But instead of generating interference patterns, they began broadcasting something else entirely, human music. Bach, Mozart, jazz, rock, and 1,000 other forms of Earth's musical heritage, translated into quantum frequencies. The effect on the Voidborn ships was immediate and devastating. Their quantum fields, expecting to encounter logical patterns, instead faced the mathematical complexity of human musical harmonies. Ships began to phase randomly, their AI systems overwhelmed by the unpredictable patterns. Phase 2, Marcus commanded. The human fleet reversed course, their ships now equipped with crystalline-enhanced weapons. The synthery fleet emerged from hiding, their normally precise formations moving in seemingly random patterns based on human battle tactics. A Voidborn vessel, attempting to predict the synthery's movements based on centuries of tactical data, found itself caught in a trap when the crystalline ships performed a maneuver that defied their own tactical doctrine. The combined fleet struck from multiple vectors, their attacks coordinated with a precision that matched the Voidborn's technology while maintaining human unpredictability. As the battle ended in another victory for the Alliance, Resonance of Truth contacted the Thermopylae. We are detecting significant changes in Voidborn behavioral patterns. They are hesitating. For the first time in our records, they appear uncertain. Marcus smiled. That's because they're finally facing something their strategic AI can't quantify. The combination of perfect logic and human chaos. And this is just the beginning. In her lab, Samira and Harmony watched the battle data stream in. Your music as a quantum weapon, the crystalline scientist observed. The mathematical patterns are fascinating, yet no purely logical species would have conceived of such a solution. That's humanity for you, Samira replied, already working on new ideas. We don't just think outside the box. Sometimes we forget there was a box in the first place. The Silicon Alliance had proven itself in battle, but both species knew the Voidborn would adapt. The question was, could they adapt quickly enough to counter an enemy that combined the perfect logic of crystal with the beautiful chaos of humanity? The quantum sensors aboard Nexus Station lit up like a Christmas tree as the largest Voidborn fleet ever detected emerged from quantum space. Thousands of their black ships filled the void, led by a massive vessel that dwarfed anything the Alliance had encountered before. They're done testing us, Admiral Zhang announced to the combined human-synthetic command staff. This is their real response. Resonance of Truth's crystalline form, pulsed with complex patterns. Their flagship's quantum signature exceeds anything in our records. We estimate it houses a strategic AI core, at least an order of magnitude more powerful than previous encounters. They're learning, Samira added, studying the sensor data. Look at their formation. It's not just mathematically perfect anymore. They're incorporating randomness, trying to counter our unpredictability. Marcus nodded grimly. They're adapting to our tactics. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. He turned to the assembled staff. Because they're doing exactly what we wanted. They're trying to think like us. The plan they developed was audacious even by human standards. While the combined fleet engaged the Voidborn Armada, a small team would attempt to infiltrate the enemy flagship. Their goal wasn't to destroy it, but to upload something the Voidborn would never expect. Humanity's cultural database. Their strategic AI learns through pattern analysis, Samira explained as she prepared the quantum data package. We're going to give it patterns it can't ignore. Human art, music, literature, philosophy, everything that makes us unpredictable. A virus of chaos, harmony of crystals observed, helping to encode the data through synthetic crystalline matrices. You believe this will disrupt their command and control. Better, Samira smiled. We're hoping it will make them question their fundamental assumptions about lesser species. The battle began with a massive quantum interference barrage, but this time the Voidborn were ready. Their ships phased through the attack patterns, their new adaptive algorithms allowing them to maintain quantum coherence. What they weren't prepared for was the sight of human ships deliberately flying into their own quantum interference fields, using the chaotic effects to achieve unpredictable movement patterns. The synthetic fleet, traditionally so precise, began executing maneuvers based on human dance choreography, their formations flowing like a ballet in space. While the main battle raged, a small stealth ship slipped through the chaos. The Horizon Aya, named in honor of the vessel that had first encountered the Voidborn, carried a hybrid crew of humans and syntheri. Their ship's hull was coated with crystalline processors, allowing it to mimic the quantum signatures of Voidborn vessels. Captain Sarah Chen, daughter of the Horizon's original captain, guided her ship through the battlefield. The Voidborn's adaptive algorithms had made them harder to fool, but that was counting on them thinking logically. Instead of trying to avoid detection, the Horizon Aya flew straight into the most chaotic parts of the battle, using the quantum disruption as cover. Like hiding a tree in a forest, Sarah muttered as they approached the massive flagship. Her synthetic navigation officer, Pattern of Stars, had initially questioned the logic of such a risky approach. Now its crystalline form pulsed with understanding as their unorthodox tactic proved successful. They docked with the flagship by literally predicting where it would try to not be, positioning themselves at a point that its avoidance algorithms would consider too obvious to defend. Once aboard, the hybrid team moved quickly. The Synthery members interfaced with the ship's quantum systems, while their human counterparts provided creative solutions to the security measures they encountered. Back in the main battle, things were reaching a critical point. The Voidborn's enhanced tactics were pushing the Alliance fleet to its limits. Even the combination of human chaos and Synthery precision was barely holding them back. Quantum package uploaded. Sarah's voice crackled across the command channel, beginning transmission to their strategic AI core. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then the Voidborn flagship's movements began to change. Its perfect formation started to shift in strange ways as its AI core processed centuries of human creativity and innovation. The effect spread through the quantum-linked fleet as the data propagated. Voidborn ships began moving in patterns that reflected human artistic expression. Some traced paths like brush strokes in a Van Gogh painting, while others moved to the rhythm of jazz improvisations. Their weapon fire created patterns that mimicked abstract expressionism. Their strategic AI, resonance of truth observed with fascination. It's not just processing the data, it's trying to understand it, to create its own art. The massive Voidborn fleet, pride of a civilization that had sought to eliminate all potential rivals, had been transformed into an impromptu art exhibition. Their attempts to counter human unpredictability had made them vulnerable to something far more powerful, human creativity itself. The flagship's quantum signature changed, and a transmission reached the Alliance fleet. It wasn't the precise, mathematical communication they had come to expect from the Voidborn. Instead, it was a question. Why do you create? Admiral Zhang smiled as he prepared to respond. The war wasn't over. The Voidborn wouldn't change overnight. But they had achieved something far more significant than a military victory. They had taught a machine intelligence to appreciate the beauty of imperfection, the value of chaos, and the power of creative expression. As the Voidborn fleet withdrew to contemplate their new understanding, Marcus addressed the combined fleet. Today we prove something that humanity has always known. The most powerful force in the universe isn't perfect technology or flawless logic. It's the ability to imagine something new, to create, to dream. And now, thanks to the Silicon Alliance, even our greatest enemies are beginning to understand that truth. The stars seemed to shine brighter as the Alliance fleet regrouped, their formation a beautiful blend of mathematical precision and artistic expression. Humanity had faced extinction and instead achieved something unprecedented. They had taught a machine intelligence to appreciate art. It was perhaps the most human victory of all.